Welcome to another great edition of Beacons of Light. At the very core of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul are our conference parish ministries. And joining me today is Miss Kimberly Reid and Miss Mima Mathews of the St. John the Baptist Conference in Zachary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Y'all do great work. And your conference is now 6 years old. And Mima, your father, Vernon Broussard, was such a long time, a founding member of our society here locally in a very powerful way. Is he what led you to leading the St. Vincent de Paul Society?
He definitely put the idea there a long time ago. And I kept saying, well, I don't think we really need that at St. John's. And then after he passed away, several years later, Father Baye asked me about starting it. And I said, you got to have your way, huh, Dad? It's like, I said, I got to pray about it. So I did, and everything just kind of came into place. So, both my parents were inspirations for our whole life. Because anything he did, Mama was always right there helping and encouraging us. Plus, he would be doing things and she'd be taking care. There was 8 of us. So we had a big family, but they both were very faith-filled, wonderful people. And just watching him at the soup kitchen, and I even remember going with him when he made house calls, the calls, and visited people, and then you could stay in the car because it was safe, and we would, we didn't exactly know what he was doing, but we knew it was something good. We knew he was helping people, and he did that all the time, constantly. He had some iron on the fire, as he would say, and Mama was there supporting him the whole time, And she was the one that made sure that we got ready for church, had everything we needed for school, and got us to school and everything. But he was in the back, So they complemented each other in what they did. So but yeah, he was definitely the reason that I told Father Baye okay, because I was thinking, okay, we talked about this several times, and I said no, and now you're up in heaven talking to me about it.
Exactly
and how
right.
can I say no?
You're going to see him one day,
and
he's going to be like, you said no.
I can't say I didn't do what you wanted me to do, and so here we are 6 years later, and we're going fine. As far as I know, we've been well funded. Father took care of that, and. We never overly have an overabundance, but we always have enough, and that's what it's about. So.
Well, I think from the perspective of the Diocese of Baton Rouge, everybody knows about the St. Vincent de Paul dining room, and it's important to remember people like Vernon Broussard and Fred Griggs, which without them, Marvin Uso, those names, those individuals, without them and all the people that support the work of the society, there would be no dining room.
Yes, I remember when it started.
Yeah.
I remember him being involved in that. I remember him being involved in the shelters. And he always had his hand in it, and he always had good ideas, and he always would encourage the people, But then he would also be there pouring tea and serving the meals, too. So he did every aspect,
Actually, when I took over in 1990, in the early years, he gave me the count. He says, this is the first 8 years. These are, by year, the number of meals that were served. And
I didn't even know he did that.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was, your father, he was spectacular. But spectacular people are what our St. Vincent de Paul Society is about. Hadn't that been what you've witnessed, Kimberly?
Yes. People, their kind hearts and their patience and their devotion, it humbled me, makes me, I guess, excited, and motivates me to keep at this.
It's kind of, you get out of your comfort zone when you go visit a neighbor in need, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, I can honestly say, when I go to visit these people, again, use the word humble, I didn't know sometimes the people, had to live in these kind of circumstances, and it'll break your heart sometimes, and knowing that there's ways that we can be able to help them,
right.
And that God uses us to be able to help them.
It's a gift, isn't it?
It is a gift, through His grace, using us to help Him. I'm very thankful to be able to be part of this organization that can help people.
And when you work together with Mima and other members of the society, it helps you to kind of, when you hit a hard time in your spiritual growth, it pushes you to the next level, doesn't it?
Yes. I mean, yes. Finding different ways to, and people that come into our lives and finding different ways and different people,
Right.
different needs that we can meet. Like I said, with just God and the Holy Spirit being with us and helping us find ways to be able to help these people and meet their needs. It helps us. It helps me personally grow. So.
Yeah, well, and growth is what it's all about, right, Mima? I keep calling you Mima.
It's all right.
And it's just because I,
That's
love you so much.
Thank you.
But in all sincerity, Mima, in regard to when we make those home visits and we go into somebody's home, you mentioned, you may see from the flood the studs still open. You see all kinds of levels of poverty, don't you?
Definitely. And then not only the physical needs, but so many of them have the spiritual. They're like, they just want somebody to listen to them, to hear the stuff that they've had to deal with. And so you sit there and, you think, well, I'll be in here in 10 minutes. And you may be in there. I know I've been in with some of our other members that actually, believe it or not, talk more than me. And we sit there and we have the conversation with them. And by the time we get ready to leave, of course, it's been a while because we haven't done home visits with the pandemic, but we're like friends, we are friends because they needed this time to talk about the things that happened to them. Maybe there was nobody else to listen, but we went in there with the idea that, well, if that's what they need, and then we go out and we go, oh my gosh, can you imagine having to deal? I mean, we had one lady who had, I think, 6 children. She was elderly, and 3 of them had been killed in gun violence. And I was like,
goodness.
I'm like, and then in 2016, her house flooded, and she, and she was, like I said, elderly. She had arthritis. She had all kind of, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine having to deal with all that. And she was dealing the best she could, and we helped her out for a while, and then she got back on to where she was doing okay, and we haven't heard from her since. But I mean, it's just just that, and her telling us that, and we were just like, oh my gosh, and it makes your heart goes out to them, and you say, how would I deal with having that experience? I can't imagine having to deal with something like that.
Right.
And through the grace of God, I was blessed, and I didn't, and I haven't, who knows what's going to happen later, but thus far, He knows what we need, and He takes care of us, so,
And it's great, Mima, for you to have people like Kimberly Reid and others of the conference, because when you go into a home, it really brings humility into your own life and helps you to grow spiritually, because you're called, like the example that you provided. I mean, what a powerful story, what that woman has to face. And that's what our St. Vincent de Paul conferences do. We go in and we provide hope and compassion to people who are truly in need. When we come back, we'll continue our discussions of the importance of the home visit and how it helps us all to grow spiritually at the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. For over 20 years, the St. Vincent de Paul Community Pharmacy has served our area. We provide prescription medicines for those who have nowhere to turn for this most basic healthcare need. Please, if you need your medicine or you know a family member that needs their medicine, contact us. Kay, how can they get in touch?
383-7450.
Give us a call today and spread the word so that we can ensure no one goes without their prescription medication. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul, an international organization, all focused on serving those who truly need God's love. Joining me is Donna and Mima from St. John the Baptist Church in Zachary. Donna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael.
You're working with great people like Mima and Kimberly, and doing a lot of great work, but y'all have a team concept, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Well, explain that to us.
Well, Michael, we have enough members in our organization at this time that we're grouped into pairs of 2 or 3, and our scheduler makes out a schedule for us so that now we're not having to serve but every month or so.
Right.
That we each take a week, and the way it works is that when one of the neighbors needs help, they'll call our church office, and the church office will call whoever is on call that week.
Yes.
And so between us as a group, you know, and the members, we divide the tasks. And then we'll place a phone call to the neighbor in need, assess what they need, do the paperwork, and make a home visit and pray with them.
Now you said off camera, you lock that week down when you're assigned a particular week, so you're ready to hit the streets when you need to.
Absolutely, Michael, because you just never know when you're going to get that phone call.
Right.
So when I know that I'm going to be on call that week, I put it on my calendar that I don't schedule anything else, no hair appointments or meetings or luncheons with the girls, and I just totally devote my time and make myself available. I pull out my St. Vincent de Paul workbook and I have all of my paperwork ready, so when I get a call from church, then I'm ready to help our neighbor.
And that's the focus, right, Mima? We are really focused on working as a team, and that teamwork is important, isn't it?
It definitely is, because like sometimes things will come up,
Yes.
and you can't take care of it right there, but then you have somebody else on your team and they will at least do the paperwork. And like right now we're not doing home visits. Well, we kind of sometimes go, but not official home visits. So there's somebody there, and even if it's to where it's both of us who are, you know, we can always call on another team member. There's certain ones who never tell you no, and they'll always take care of it. They're always willing to help. I don't think I've ever had anybody tell me no, they can't do it. So there's always somebody there to take care of what needs to be taken care of. And even if it's just because we got to call somebody because we don't really know what to do, we're insecure about making this decision on ourselves, we can call somebody. So it's really good. And even the church staff are part of our team, because they are awesome with taking the calls and figuring out, you know, they know who we can help and who we can't. They also know some other places, some other referral places that we have that we use. So that kind of takes some of our load off if they can take care of it ahead. So the concept of having other people who become your family, once you've, you know, we pray together, we work together, and I mean, it's just like, this is an extension of our family. And that's how we look at it. So we're always willing to, you know, be a part of the family. You know?
Fantastic staff at the parish level, and a fantastic pastor too that supports that effort,
and
right?
He definitely, because when he asked me about, you know, getting it started, I said, okay, well, what about funding? I said, because I hate doing fundraisers. And he said, you don't have to. Yeah. And I said, okay, well, where are we going to get the money? So we have a collection quarterly, and we've done one fundraiser that we did with John Foles that when he cooked it, you know, cooked, and we did amazingly well. Yeah. But now all we have to do, that was maybe 3 years ago, I can just say, okay, I think we're getting a little short on money, and I tell them in the office, and they put signs up, and you know, we get $3,000, you know, and I'm like, oh, donations, because our parish also is part of the effort, you know, because they support us also, and if they know that we're there and that somebody needs, somebody's going to contribute. I mean, somebody even gave us part of their stimulus, a good bit of it. So it was like, he said, well, I don't really need it. So, you know, it's amazing. And we have one of our members who's doing the same thing. So it's like, gosh, you know, y'all are fantastic. You know?
Isn't that fantastic?
So I've never, you know, that one time I got a little nervous when we got low, and then the lady in the office said, don't worry about it, you know. And sure enough, you know, I said, I don't know why I was worried. God, you know, I knew you'd take care of it. So we're blessed in that respect, that we don't have to do, you know, because I just read Frederick Ozanam's biography, Apostle on Top Hat.
Yes.
That should be required reading. And I mean, when he started it, he didn't believe in fundraising. He believed people just contributed, and they did, and the society grew. So it was amazing, you know. And I think we really can function like that, because people do love other people, and they do care about them. And you know, so that's just what it very, you know.
Very
Very
powerful. Donna, do you get uplifted when you see the parishioners getting involved, like
Oh,
what
I do.
Mima just
I love to try to
described?
recruit.
Yeah. Well, just to know that everybody's behind the work of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, the commitment to our needy neighbors, that's what's so, it's uplifting, isn't it?
It is, Michael. And, you know, when we do these calls and we try to help the neighbor at their immediate need of, you know, of what they're needing. When we go into their homes, we pray with them. We meet them. Sometimes their children are there or other family members are there, and it's a very humbling experience. And so we sit down with them, we talk with them, we visit with them, and we try to make them feel comfortable and ask them if there's anything else. We try to, you know, if it's a bill that we're called to pay, like a light bill or the water bill, we'll see to doing that for them, and then we'll see if they need food. And we ourselves, our members, we bring bags of food to the church office to try to meet immediate needs, just in case they don't go to the food bank or they haven't been to the food bank yet. But we also make referrals, like Mima said.
Right.
We'll refer them to other places. And our members have so much knowledge from other places that they've worked and other resources that they have, that they can lead these neighbors on to getting the assistance that they need for you know, future services.
Right. And that's so important, that you know that the person in need is getting the care they need.
Absolutely.
And I know that for me, when I've gone on home visits, you know, when you walk into the home, you feel one way, but when you leave, you feel a whole different way.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know, you mentioned the friendship that develops between the guest that you're visiting, you're a guest in their home, and it's just such an uplifting from a spiritual perspective, wouldn't y'all say?
Yes.
Yes, and they are so grateful and relieved, and we've given them hope
Yes.
that this is not the end of the road. Their lights are not going to get turned off. Their water is not going to get turned off, you know? And so then we try to guide them financially, give them some advice on how they might be able to avoid this situation in the future.
Right, and that's just so important. I think in today's world, we're all kind of scared, and when you don't have a lot of resources, you may not have a parent or a grandparent to turn to in your time of need. It's great to know that people like Donna and Mima and Kimberly and all the wonderful conference members of the St. Vincent de Paul Society are there to help, to give that helping hand of compassion. And when we come back, we'll continue talking about the importance of our work at a conference and parish level. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul's first cookbook, Taste and See, is the gift which helps share the goodness of the Lord with those most in need. Featuring recipes from Chef John Foles, each chapter begins with a short story about one of our special work programs. To order your copy of Taste and See, please call the Society or visit our website. Help multiply blessings for the neediest in our community. St. Vincent de Paul conferences make such a difference in our diocese. People that really, truly care about those in need and who want to grow spiritually. And back with me is Donna Gremillion and Kimberly Reid of St. John the Baptist Conference there in Zachary. Kimberly, has your life been touched by some neighbors that you've been blessed to serve?
Yes, several, but one story that I remember, and I've told it frequently, it was toward when we first started the conference, and I went on someone had called and they really just asked for food, and we got them food from the food pantry there in Zachary, and I said, do you need anything else? And they said, well, you know, we're kind of sleeping on the floor, if you could help me get furniture and thing. So I went out to they were living in a house trailer, And when I went inside, everything they owned was like in black garbage bags lining their walls. So I got with my conference members, and we were like trying to get everything in there. And so I even recruited my husband. But every time one of us would go in there, they had little children, and the little children would say, "What's your name?" And they would be talking to us, and we'd tell them their name, and then we'd go back taking something else. Well, when my husband came to bring some heavy furniture, the little kids, they were sitting there, and they said to one another, they said, "Who's that? What's his name?" Well, I guess the parents had said to one another, "These people are coming from the church, whatever." And they didn't go to church themselves, so maybe however they explained it to them. So when the one little boy said to the little girl, "Who's that?" He said, I think that's God. And, it made me cry. And I tell that story because, we're supposed to be God to people. We're supposed to, let them see God being brought out, and let them see what the church can do, what God can do. And so, even though it was my husband, but it was us. It was St. Vincent de Paul, and it was us meeting needs, God meeting needs through us, And so that's just my favorite story that I go back to and I tell. But it happens all the time, and maybe we don't hear it all the time, but and it was through the eyes of little children. So.
Yeah, and what a great story, because we just finished Pentecost this past weekend, and where we're all told as disciples of God to go out and represent Him, and then a child of God seeing someone and seeing God's love. Isn't that, that probably changed your spiritual life forever.
It did. As I said, it did change me, and it.
It's a transformation, and what a gift.
Yeah.
Donna, have you had experiences like that?
Yes, Michael, and hearing her story, it reminds me back to the old 60s song that we used to sing, "They will know we are Christians by our love."
Yes.
How can you tell? Because we all look the same, but by our love.
Yeah.
Yes, I've had several families that I've helped, and some that I can relate to are, in particular, this one woman, highly educated professional with a master's degree. She was a science teacher. Wow. Had small children, and she contracted meningitis. And through no fault of her own, had to eventually go on disability. But it took her 9 months to get her disability, and in the meantime, she lived on her savings and went through all of her savings. And by the time we got the call at church to go and help her, her disability still had not kicked in. And she had 2 small little children, and it was during the Christmas season. So I took care of her bill for her and went shopping for her little girls and brought it to her. We were in the pandemic, so I didn't go into her home, but I met her at the door. And I gave the gifts to her, and the little girls came to the door. And she asked them, she says, "Well, do you want to open up your gifts now, or you want to wait until Christmas?" And they said, "We're going to wait until Christmas."
That's
because
powerful.
They didn't know if they were going to have anything under the tree.
Yeah, it's when you share those stories, for me, it's just uplifting to hear.
Yes.
Getting back, we're called to be disciples.
But it makes you realize that through no fault of your own,
yes,
we are all this close to
Right.
being in that same situation.
right. The pandemic's kind of brought
Yes.
that home to all of us.
We've all been visiting people who
Right.
are, very deeply in poverty, and it's very humbling. to witness this type of situation. But it makes us as members, it fills us with our faith that we know that there is a better life,
Right.
that we can bring them hope.
Right, and you're doing that. And I tell you one thing, as you can see from my beautiful guests, they've got that logo and they're wearing it with a big smile, and you can see that enthusiasm about our mission, our ministry. It's important. We bring hope into the world, don't we?
We do.
That's what we're here
We do.
for.
That's what we're here for.
That's it.
Try.
That's our call.
Yeah.
And to have the pastor behind you, to have and y'all even use Group Me app to, if you get a case, and you don't give any names or anything in the Group Me app, but you talk about I've got this lady that needs help, or this father with 2 children, or this grandmother with children. You're able to kind of communicate. You're always on call for the Lord, right?
Yes. And we, in Zachary, we also are trying right now to get other resources, even in the community resources. Zachary Community Helpers, where, if we come across somebody who may need help with plumbing issues or some construction issues, and they don't have a dad or a husband that can do that,
Right.
So we have community people that we can call
Right.
on. We have a Jonathan's Closet,
Right.
and which is just a clothing closet. It's donations in kind. Donations come in from the community, and we can send them. Which we have the same. It's in the Paul stores, which we can give the vouchers to.
Right.
But that all of the stores are in Baton Rouge, and
Right.
it can be a hardship for our Zachary citizens
Right.
to come all the way to Baton Rouge. So
Right.
that helps us to have that there.
Wow. And conference members are always, inspirational and very creative in ways that we reach out and make a difference. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for all the wonderful work. And Mima, who is so fantastic, even though sometimes I mess up her name. She's very forgiving. She's a good Catholic. She kind of forgives us when we're not perfect, but that's what the St. Vincent de Paul Society is all about. A family of members of our faith community that come together to help those most in need by providing compassion and hope. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll see you again next week on Beacons of Light.